I believe that not having a true understanding of what the word clarity means led me to make a lot of decisions out of confusion. Like most people, we want to appear smart. We don't know what we don't know. And a lot of us think that clarity means that it has to be crystal clear. And I believe now that clarity is mostly lack of confusion. It doesn't mean that you know what to do next. It doesn't mean that you know where to go or what comes next or a whole plan. That is not what clarity is. Clarity is just the lack of confusion. It means that you're not going to go forward when confusion is present, even if you are crystal clear on where you want to go. And let's be clear. I made $1 million off of selling a $15 product, teaching people how to properly use the body parts that they come with. What that tells you is that people don't know what they don't know, and a lot of people are so prideful, and a lot of us are so confused on things that we feel that we should just know. And I'm not sure where that came from. We don't have time for that right now. But what I'm telling you, teaching people how to do something that their body came with worked. Okay, because the thing is that a lot of us don't ask the simple questions because we feel that they are too simple. And my name is Samaya. I'm a bankrupt millionaire, and what I can tell you is that I want you to spend a little more time on these questions. What I have found is that my understanding of what the word clarity means, I truly didn't understand. I thought that clarity meant that what I wanted to do was crystal clear. And if it wasn't crystal clear, then I was confused. And that could not be further from the truth. Clarity is simply the lack of confusion. And sometimes we make all these plans and we have this vision that is crystal clear. And because of that, we bypass when we start to feel confused and then call it clarity. Let's take myself, for example. When I started the content house, I was so crystal clear on what I wanted it to be, even though it hadn't even really started yet. And the truth is that if you're really co-creating with the universe, you never really have a crystal clear idea of what's going on. What you have is a lack of confusion. Sometimes you don't even know what's next. Like I just started the Bankrupt Millionaire podcast. What I am clear on is that I am equipped with not only theory, but wisdom. I am crystal clear on that. There is not a lack of confusion. Why? Because literally, I am a bankrupt millionaire. It is the lack of confusion. Am I crystal clear on what happens next? Absolutely not. But the truth is that when you are co-creating with God, the universe, or with your highest self being the person that has the audacity to dream, the audacity to be full of themselves, when you align with that, you know what I'm saying? That's just the lack of confusion, baby. I ain't confused. I don't know what's up next, but I ain't confused. And I think a lot of the decisions that I made in an attempt to grow and create the content house revealed how confused I was about my own worth, my own value, and about what truly creates abundance. Because if you ask me about the things that make me feel rich, regardless of dollar amount, most of those things don't cost a lot of money. They mostly cost like a tank of gas. Flowers make me happy. The beach makes me happy. Camping, being outside, water makes me happy. And what I can tell you is that if you are chasing something that takes you further and further away from the things that make you feel abundant, then you are not getting closer. You are moving farther away from abundance, and I mean, you might be moving closer to wealth or riches, but wealth is something that's sustainable. And if you're creating a life that takes you further away from the things that make you feel abundant, how will you have the energy to sustain where you're supposed to be going? I found out that I was confused about my value because I was making collaboration decisions with situations where I should have just been bartering. And it doesn't mean that other people, their talents, their gifts, or situations are not worth a value. But the thing is that this is my world and it needs to be centered around me because I'm the one that's going to pay the consequences. I'm the one that has to do the work. This life is about making my younger self feel safe, right? And the truth is that when you start exchanging physical, tangible gifts with divine gifts and protection, it is very apparent and it does not take very long that you are confused about your value, whose you are, and where you're really going. I went the entire summer of 2023 without stepping in water. I think I went to Jeju, the spa, but I did not go to the pool. I did not go to the beach. If I did, I can barely count how many. Not enough. Not enough. Not damn near enough. You know what I'm saying? And I think that sometimes we say that we're confused simply because it's not crystal clear. I'm going to encourage you and I'm going to leave you with this. I think 2 ways that we can do better with this relationship between clarity and confusion is get full of yourself. If you are not full of yourself, there are going to be gaps in you where you can be confused. You don't need to blend in or mute yourself. You've been here for what, 5 minutes with me? And if you seen my page, you probably saw a big ass teal van. You see me right here sitting in teal. And so it's like, you know what to do with me. You know, if you got a shirt that you want to send me and you got the color teal option, which color you going to probably send? Teal. Does that mean that you're crystal clear on that's the color that I want? No, but you have no confusion that I clearly like the color. And I think that when we get full of ourselves, we start understanding the why. There's less space for you to be confused. I'm not confused on if I like the color teal. The second thing I would say is that follow that confusion and stop moving forward. Say you're driving on the road and you're not sure if you should go this direction. You're not going to go forward at 100 miles per hour and hope, that it turns out okay. Or is that what some of us do? There is some confusion, but I'm already here. I've already proposed. I've already accepted the job offer. I'm not sure if this is really what I want to do, but they want me to relocate. So I'm going to go full throttle and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to hope that it works out. Some of us don't know how to even ask for our worth or our value because we still have confusion about what our worth is. And because we are not clear on our value and our worth, we don't have the willpower to ask for what we deserve because, hey, what I'm asking for is because I acknowledge that this is a benefit that I have in my own life. This is something that I know I value. If what someone else stands for brings you a little bit of confusion, if being around someone brings you a little bit of confusion, if doing anything makes you feel a little confused about yourself, something that you have full clarity on, that is a sign for you to pull over, slow down, or stop. It is not that does not mean full throttle, put on the gas, and just go anyway. Because that is when we start getting delusional. And a lot of times it's because we want to avoid the work that it's going to take for us to unravel the confusion that we feel. Because I'm not going to lie to you, when you start unraveling this confusion and getting to the center of it, sometimes we find that all the decisions that have been made were actually made from a place of confusion from the very jump. And the fear of having to knock all of that down and start over to acknowledge the confusion that we started building with, a lot of times that costs us too much. But this is the thing. I don't want to live my life in a state of confusion. I want to live my life in a state of clarity. And I realize that when it comes to things that make me feel abundant, something that I'm adding to the list is clarity. Something that makes me feel abundant is the lack of confusion about my life. And as I sit here as a bankrupt millionaire, figuring it all out and being accountable and doing all the things, One thing I can tell you is that sorting out where you may have went wrong is not confusing. If anything, I have a very, very strong sense of clarity right now. And this is your friendly reminder that that sense of clarity is not because it's crystal clear and I know what's coming up next and how this is going to go. The clarity is simply that I am lacking confusion. And I don't care how success looks, but if it holds confusion, then it's going to affect how you make decisions. It's going to affect things that you were previously clear about. So I don't care how much it costs you. Slow down and check into why you feel confused. Because if confusion is there, then that is not clarity. Something that, and I'm not a very like God this, God that type person. But at the end of the day, if it applies, it applies. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not like a huge Bible verse thumping person. That's not necessarily what I'm trying to do. What I've learned is that anything that's of God, anything that came from my co-creator, anything that came from my higher self, the last thing that it does is make me confused. The last thing it does, things that are of God are not confusing. They might be hard, but they don't be confusing. You know what I'm saying? Like once you get done with one thing, the next thing steps up for you. And if you're confused, and sometimes a lot of us don't know how to sit in confusion, and a lot of times we're moving forward because we simply don't know how to we simply don't know how to be patient. Okay? So, yeah, hope this helps. All in all, I just want to remind you guys to please make sure that you get full of yourself, get clear on yourself, and just dig deep on you. Like, as if it was somebody, y'all know how y'all are when you about to date somebody, you trying to dig deep on them, or you find an artist and you go down that rabbit hole and find out everything about them. I need you to do that for yourself, because the clarity that you have about yourself, which is the lack of confusion, it will take you places when you don't know the way, when it's not crystal clear. Having a lack of confusion about who you are and what you like and what you don't like will take you places. It will take you places even if it's not crystal clear. Not knowing what's next, not knowing the whole story is not confusion, because divine timing is not confusing. Divine timing is not confusing, and yet in divine timing you still don't always know what's next or what's to come or any of that. Okay? So this is just your friendly reminder to pour into you, figure out who you are, get true investigator on that ass, okay? And don't let nobody discourage you from it. When you are co-creating with God, there are going to be a lot of moments where you're not sure of what's next, where it's not crystal clear, but it does not mean that there is not clarity. As long as there is lack of confusion about what you're doing, I might not know what my co-creator, what my higher self, what God, what the universe has planned for me. But what I can tell you is that I have clarity. I have a lack of confusion about it being for my best self. And so if I'm doing something that feels confusing, that's all I need to know, that it's not for me. If you're doing anything and it is pulling you away indefinitely from the things that make you feel abundant so you can chase riches, then I'm just here to tell you that you, my friend, are confused. If you guys could check out the first episode of The Bankrupt Millionaire, it is linked in my YouTube. I would greatly appreciate it. I love y'all. Bye.